realized my family had decided I didn't count when the reunion photo slid across my screen without me in it. 28 smiling faces in front of the lake house my mother loved, and an empty space where I should have stood. I stared at the photo twice, then a third time. Same bright dock, same cedar railing my father sanded every spring, same crooked weather vane on the boathouse. And there was my older sister, Nora, in the center, chin lifted like she ran the place. My brother, Mark, a step behind her, half smile, half warning. Everyone had tagged each other in the caption, "Family, finally." No tag for me. Aunt Liza must not have realized what she was doing when she posted it. Or maybe she did. Either way, I saw the date. It wasn't just a reunion. It was the weekend, my mother's birthday weekend, the one we used to celebrate with lemon bars that stuck to the pan and a porch light kept on late, as if every night might be someone's homecoming. I scrolled through comments. So good to be together. House looks amazing. Can't wait to sign on Sunday. That one made my stomach go cold. Sign what? And then I noticed the logo on a folding sign tucked by the driveway, a local realtor. So this wasn't just about hugging cousins and passing around potato salad. They were selling the house. Our house. My mother's house. I checked my messages. Nothing from Nora or Mark. In the oldest thread, the one we used when Mom was sick, someone had changed the title to Reunion Planning, and then someone had quietly removed me. I hadn't lost the thread had lost me. The house was 3 hours away. I could have called. I could have sent a text asking for an explanation. I could have told myself, be the bigger person, keep the peace, don't stir the pot. But the photo kept floating in my mind like a raft drifting from shore, a place I'd once known how to reach. My mother had put a spare key on a nail inside the pantry door and told me, if you can't sleep, come home. That sentence, her voice, lived under my ribs. I pulled the little tin from my desk drawer, the one with junk souvenirs, movie stubs, a bent ring from college, a tiny pine cone from the lake path. And there it was, the brass key with a red thread wrapped around the head, the thread I'd tied after Dad died, promising myself I'd keep the house thread close. I held the key until it warmed in my palm. The past year had been a blur after Mom's funeral, paperwork, a job change, the apartment I could barely afford, but I had sent money when I could. Property taxes, a repair for the roof. I'd done it because I believed we were keeping the place for birthdays and babies and all the ordinary miracles time gives a family that wants them. The silence from my siblings pressed in. They hadn't forgotten to invite me, they had decided I shouldn't be there. The realization was its own kind of funeral. I packed a small bag, jeans, a sweater that smelled faintly like lemon oil, the key, and locked my door. On the way out, I stopped by my mailbox. A single envelope slid into my hand, heavy paper, my name written in my mother's slow, careful script. My breath caught. The postmark was last year, the week before she went into hospice. Inside the car, I held the envelope up to the light. I didn't open it. Not yet. Instead, I set it on the passenger seat, next to the key, started the engine, and turned the wheel toward the lake, where a family reunion was happening without me. When I reached the highway, the sun dropped lower, throwing copper light across the hood. I told myself I only wanted a conversation. I wanted to hear the reasons out loud. I wanted to see if they could say them to my face. A mile marker flashed by. The envelope slid and tapped my thigh, a soft insistence. I tightened my grip on the wheel and whispered, "Mom, what did you send me?" The answer, I suspected, would change everything. By the time I reached the gravel road, the light had thinned to that soft lake-hour glow my mother called forgiving light. The driveway was crowded with cars, some I recognized, some I didn't. A white tent arched over folding tables. There was a tub of bottled water sweating in the shade, paper plates stacked like small fences. And near the porch steps, the realtor's sign stood, neat and casual, as if selling a life were no different than a yard sale. I parked by the maples and sat for a second, steadying my breath. The envelope and the brass key lay on the seat beside me like a choice. I touched the key, cool again, and slipped the envelope into my jacket pocket, still sealed, still heavy with whatever my mother needed to say. As I walked up the drive, I caught the hum of familiar voices, the rise and fall of a story told too loudly. Nora's laugh rang out, bright and deliberate. Mark stood near the porch railing with two of our cousins, arms folded, nodding like a man who had already made 10 decisions before breakfast. Aunt Liza spotted me first. Her face went careful, then smoothed into something polite. "You made it," she said. "I wasn't invited," I said, not loud, just clear. Her lips tightened. "It's a family day." I looked around at the meal prep, the kids on the lawn, the realtor chatting with someone from a title company. "I'm family." Mark stepped down from the porch, hands in his pockets. "We didn't want drama," he said. Drama would have been telling me after the fact. Nora finally turned. Her hair was pinned up, her dress a little too crisp for the lake. "This is hard enough," she said. "We're trying to be practical." Practical, I repeated, because the word sounded like an apology wearing a suit. "We have an offer," Mark said. "Above asking." "For the house," I said. "For the house," he said. "We need signatures." "Whose signatures?" I asked. "The heirs," he said, as if I were slow. "Nora and me." My stomach dropped. "And me," I said. Nora glanced at Mark, then back at me. "You signed the release," she said. "What release?" "The one after the funeral," she said. "You said you didn't want to deal with anything. Mark took care of it." I laughed, short and humorless. "I never signed a release, Nora." She tilted her head. "You were exhausted. You asked us to handle the estate. You texted it." "Delegating is not relinquishing," I said. "And they sent money for the taxes. Twice." "That was a gift," Mark said. "We appreciate it." He said appreciate like he was tipping a waiter. The realtor stepped closer, smile soft. "We can resolve family matters another time," she said. "Today is about celebration and moving forward." "It's about erasing," I said. Cousin Eric hovered behind Mark, big shoulders, small eyes. "Let's keep it peaceful," he said, not looking at me. I took a slow breath and let the smells of the place steady me, lemon oil, lake water, the faint sweetness of old pine in the porch boards. This was the house where my mother taught me to proofread cookies for burned edges, where Dad showed me how to mend a screen, where I learned that healing was the long version of breaking. "Show me the paperwork," I said. Mark's jaw worked. "This isn't the time." "It's the exact time," I said. Nora pressed 2 fingers to her temple. "You always do this," she said, a soft, weary accusation. "You turn everything into a trial." "I'm not putting anyone on trial," I said, keeping my voice even. "I'm asking to see what bears my name." Across the yard, a child squealed. Someone started a story about my grandfather's boat that always took on water. The house soaked up the noise like it had been built for it. Mark stepped aside. "After dinner," he said. "We'll show you everything." "Now," I said. Nora checked her watch, then the realtor. "We have a schedule." I felt the envelope against my ribs, a square of weight, a pulse from another room. "I have a schedule too," I said. "It's called my life." Aunt Liza touched my elbow, not unkindly. "Eat first," she said. "And then what?" I asked. Then you can see what you need to see, Mark said, jaw tight. I nodded, because sometimes survival is choosing when to bend. I took a paper plate I didn't want, food I couldn't taste. I sat at the end of a table where the ground dipped and my chair rocked slightly with every shift of weight. 20 feet away, the porch door stood ajar, the edge of a file box visible inside, tabs shining like tiny flags. I slid my hand into my jacket and felt the flap of the envelope, unbroken. I kept my eyes on the porch and waited for a chance to stand. When it came quietly. The house felt smaller than I remembered. Maybe because it was filled with so many voices that didn't belong to it anymore, cousins, spouses, friends of friends, all carrying stories about things that weren't theirs to tell. The porch door creaked as I slipped inside, the kind of sound that used to make Mom call out, "Shoes off, please." I left my plate on the counter, untouched. The file box sat by the old secretary desk, open just enough to show a stack of documents and yellow folders. It looked too new, too official for this place of soft quilts and chipped teacups. My hands trembled a little as I lifted the top folder. There it was, Estate of Margaret Lewis. My mother's name in black ink, underlined once. Beneath it, photocopies, signatures, property forms. I scanned the pages until I found what I needed, the inheritance agreement. 3 names were typed on the document, Nora Lewis, Mark Lewis, and mine, Anna Lewis. But next to my name, the word "waived" was printed in bold letters. Below it, a signature that wasn't mine. My pulse thudded in my ears. The signature was a close imitation, but the A curved wrong, too sharp at the top, too neat. My mother would have noticed. She always said I signed my name like I was trying to outrun it. I flipped the next page and saw an email printout from the lawyer, dated 2 weeks after Mom's funeral. It mentioned my consent to transfer ownership to Nora and Mark. The email was sent from a Gmail account I didn't recognize. They had forged it. A sound made me freeze, a floorboard groaning behind me. I turned and saw Aunt Liza standing in the doorway, her face pale but not surprised. "You shouldn't be looking through that," she said quietly. "I think I should," I said. "They used my name." She closed the door halfway, lowering her voice. "Anna, listen. It wasn't my idea. But they were desperate. The medical bills, the taxes, your brother said you wanted out. They thought you didn't want the house. I sent money," I said. "Why would I pay for a place I didn't want?" Aunt Liza looked down. "They said it was guilt money." I laughed once, bitter and dry. "Then they really don't know me." Her eyes softened. "Your mother tried to fix this before she passed. She had me mail something to you. A letter." My hand went instinctively to my jacket pocket. "I got it," I said. "Haven't opened it yet." "Maybe you should," she whispered. I tore the seal open with my thumb. Inside was a folded sheet of her stationery, the kind with tiny blue flowers at the corners. Her handwriting was shaky, but still hers. Asterisk, my dear Anna. If you're reading this, it means I couldn't say it in person. The house isn't just property. It's a promise. I wanted it to belong to all of you, equally. I told Nora and Mark that nothing should change without your signature. If something feels wrong, follow your heart. It's stronger than theirs when it comes to truth, asterisk. My vision blurred at the edges. My mother knew. I folded the letter, slid it into my pocket again, and looked at Aunt Liza. "Can you help me?" She hesitated. "What do you want to do?" "I need proof," I said. "Something legal. Something they can't explain away." "There's a copy of the Real will," she said slowly. "Your mother made me keep it, in case Nora lost hers. It's in my car." Then I'll need it tonight. Before she could answer, a sharp voice called from outside, Nora's. Liza. You seen Anna? Aunt Liza looked toward the door. Go out the back, she whispered. I'll stall her. I slipped through the pantry, the same path Mom used when she wanted to sneak out to the garden. The night air hit me cold and sweet. I hid behind the shed until I heard Nora's voice fade toward the front yard. Then I ran for Aunt Liza's car, heart hammering, gravel crunching under my shoes. I opened the glove box and found it, a brown envelope labeled a copy, Margaret Lewis will. I tucked it under my arm, along with my mother's letter, and looked back toward the house glowing in the distance. My family laughed around the bonfire, oblivious. The truth sat heavy against my chest, but it wasn't enough yet. I still needed one more thing, someone who could make it official. Someone who would listen. That's when I remembered Mom's lawyer, David. He used to call me kiddo and always carried a fountain pen like it was part of his hand. I dialed his number. It rang twice before he answered. David. It's Anna Lewis, I said, out of breath. I think my siblings forged my signature. He was silent for a beat. I was afraid of that, he said. Meet me in town tomorrow morning. Bring everything you found. Will it be enough? I asked. Enough to make them very nervous, he said. And maybe enough to set things right. The line clicked off. I stood there under the stars, clutching 2 envelopes and one fading hope that truth might still matter. But as I turned back toward the porch, I saw a figure watching me through the window, Mark, half hidden by the curtain, his eyes locked on mine. He knew. The next morning, the lake was still and glassy, reflecting clouds like bruises spreading across the sky. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my mother's handwriting, her warning, her quiet faith that truth would win. I drove into town just after sunrise. David's office was above the old post office, the same place we'd signed Mom's hospice documents. The brass letters on the door read David Renner, attorney at law, slightly faded but steady, like the man himself. He looked older, thinner. But when he saw me, his eyes softened. You look like her more every year, he said. I handed him both envelopes, the forged estate file and the real will Aunt Liza had kept. He read silently, jaw tightening with each page. When he reached my mother's letter, he set it down carefully, as if touching something sacred. You're right, he said finally. These signatures aren't yours. And this document, he held up the fake release, wouldn't hold in court for a day. They falsified your consent. That's fraud. So, what happens now? I'll file an injunction immediately. It'll freeze the sale until the dispute's resolved. I let out a shaky breath. They'll hate me for this. He looked up. They already excluded you, Anna. You're not starting the fire, you're just refusing to burn. I nodded. Can you be there when I tell them? He hesitated. You want to confront them before I file? Yes, I said. I want them to hear it from me. By the time we drove back, the sky had gone heavy and gray. The lake house loomed against the water like a memory trying to hold its shape. Nora's car was still there, parked too close to the hydrangeas Mom planted. Mark stood on the porch, coffee mug in hand, face unreadable. They saw me pull up with David. Nora's smile faltered. What's this? She asked, voice tight. Legal counsel, I said. Mark sighed. Come on, Anna. Don't do this. I didn't forge my name, I said. You did. Nora crossed her arms. You can't prove that. David stepped forward, calm but firm. Actually, she can. We have handwriting evidence and a copy of the legitimate will your mother left. It names all 3 children as equal heirs. Any transfer without Ms. Lewis's consent is null. Mark's face went pale. That's impossible. Mom told us. She told you nothing of the sort, I said. She wrote to me before she died. She trusted me to protect what mattered. Nora's voice cracked. You were never here. You left us with everything. The hospital bills, the repairs, the funeral. I sent money, I said. And you took it, didn't you? That was different, Mark snapped. No, I said. It was the same. You wanted the help but not the person. You wanted the house without the history. The silence that followed was sharp as glass. Even the realtor, who'd arrived to finalize the papers, shifted awkwardly near her car. David cleared his throat. I'll be filing the injunction this afternoon. Until then, I suggest you do not proceed with the sale. Nora's jaw trembled. You're ruining everything. I took a step closer. No. I'm saving what's left of her. Mark dropped his gaze. You always thought you were better than us. I thought we were family, I said quietly. Turns out I was wrong. The realtor muttered something about making a few calls and backed away. Nora turned and stormed inside. Mark stayed on the porch, staring at the mug in his hands like it might explain something. When David left, I stayed behind. The rain had started, soft and steady, the kind that didn't wash anything away, just made it shimmer for a while. I walked to the edge of the dock where Mom used to sit with her tea. The house behind me felt hollow, every window watching. Then I heard footsteps, Mark again. She's crying, he said quietly. You happy now? No, I said. But I'm not ashamed either. He sighed, rubbed his temple. What do you want from us? The truth, I said. And a chance to say goodbye the right way. He looked away, jaw clenched, eyes glassy. The truth won't fix anything, Anna. It'll stop it from getting worse, I said. A flash of lightning cut the sky, followed by a low rumble that rolled across the lake. I turned toward the water, gripping the brass key in my pocket. Tell Nora I'm staying tonight, I said. In Mom's room. He didn't argue. Maybe he knew better now. As I walked back inside, I could feel the air changing, like the house itself was waiting for something to finally be said aloud. What I didn't know yet was that the real secret, the one Mom never told anyone, was still hidden inside that house. And before the night was over, I would find it. The rain didn't stop all night. It came down in waves, tapping against the windows like quiet questions. The house felt alive again, not warm, exactly, but listening. I lit one of Mom's old candles from the mantel and carried it into her room. The air smelled faintly of lavender and dust, of time refusing to leave. Her dresser was still there, with the mirror slightly tilted forward the way she liked it. The lace runner had yellowed around the edges. I set the candle down and opened the top drawer. Inside were small things, a hairbrush, old jewelry, a folded napkin with her handwriting on it, asterisk, don't forget to forgive, but don't forget yourself either. Asterisk. I sat on the edge of the bed and felt my throat tighten. For the first time in years, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt like presence. Somewhere down the hall, I heard movement, footsteps, hesitant. Nora stood in the doorway, hair loose now, face bare of its usual polish. She looked smaller, like someone who had finally run out of excuses. Mark told me you're staying here tonight, she said. I am, I said. Tomorrow, the injunction goes through. The sale's over. She nodded slowly. I figured. She took a step inside, her arms crossed like she needed something to hold on to. We were scared, Anna. After Mom died, everything felt too big. The bills, the house, the emptiness. Mark said we couldn't afford to keep it. I believed him. We told ourselves you'd moved on. And forging my name was part of moving on. Her eyes filled, but she didn't look away. It was wrong. I know. But I thought if we could just close that chapter, we'd finally be free of everything that hurt. I looked at her, really looked at her, the same eyes as Mom's, the same tiny scar under her chin from when she fell off her bike. We were pieces of the same woman, broken in different places. I never wanted to take it away from you, I said. I just wanted us to keep something real. Something of her. Nora glanced toward the window, where rain shimmered against the glass. You still have the key. I nodded. Always. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her own, same brass, same red thread tied around the top. I never threw mine away, she said softly. We stood there, two daughters of the same house, holding proof that maybe some promises never truly die. Later, when the storm eased, Mark knocked on the door. His face was drawn, but his voice was quiet. I called David, he said. Told him we'll cooperate. You'll get your share. You deserve that. It's not about shares, I said. It's about remembering who we were before greed got loud. He gave a small, tired nod and left without another word. When morning came, sunlight broke through the clouds in soft ribbons across the lake. The realtor's sign was gone. The laughter and noise of the reunion had faded into the kind of silence Mom used to call peace. I walked down to the dock with the key in my palm. The water rippled gently around the posts. I crouched, dipped the key into the water, and let it glint in the light before slipping it onto the old nail under the boathouse beam, the same place Mom used to hang her fishing keys. It felt right to leave it there, a quiet promise kept. As I turned back toward the house, I felt something ease in my chest. Not triumph. Not revenge. Just release. This house would stand a little longer. Not because of signatures or sales, but because one person had refused to be erased. Mom once told me the heart keeps score better than any lawyer ever could. I finally understood what she meant. I looked at the porch, at the two figures standing together, Nora and Mark, and I gave a small nod. Maybe this was how healing starts. Not with winning, but with remembering. And for the first time in years, I whispered into the quiet, I'm home. If this story touched you, share your thoughts below. And subscribe for more stories of Revenge Ember.